I am successful. I look for and find opportunities where others see nothing. I am a lifetime learner. I am solution focused. I see only solutions. I am a solution. Let me take this opportunity to welcome everybody to the Be Transformed Tribe. If this is your first time, we invite you to join us because this is where you truly belong. I'm the catalyst and my name is Lanre Olusola. And we say that this is a dual go-to space for practical, spiritual, and mind-transforming conversations that empower you to overcome all of life's biggest challenges. One of the challenges that we're speaking about tonight is conflicts and how to resolve conflicts. And together tonight, our minds are going to be transformed, our spirits are going to be empowered, and together we're going to be activating ourselves. When conflicts happen, people are unable to be productive, they're unable to perform, and they are unable to be profitable. So the topic is emotional intelligence for conflict resolution. And I'd like to start off by answering the question, what is emotional intelligence and why is emotional intelligence critical for resolving conflicts in today's fast-paced, high-pressure world? Emotional intelligence, we sometimes abbreviate it and say it's EI. Some people say it's EQ, that is your emotional quotient. And it is your ability to recognize. It is your ability to understand. It is your ability to manage and influence your own emotions and those of other people. So let me break that down. Without you being able to become aware, to recognize, without you having an understanding, it's absolutely impossible for you to manage or influence your emotions. And it's impossible for you to influence the emotions of other people. Now, there are 5 critical components of emotional intelligence. The first dimension of it is awareness. Awareness of what triggers your emotions. Now, our environments, different things happen. There are different stimuli within our environment. And the things that happen in our environment, we assimilate it, we take it in and give it meaning. If you're not aware of what you are taking in, if you're not aware of the triggers of your thoughts, you've lost the plot from the get-go. Now, without awareness, it's impossible for you to regulate. Remember that I said that it's your ability to manage your emotions. It's your ability to understand it. So awareness and regulation are 2 very critical components of emotional intelligence. Now, beyond awareness and regulation, there's also motivation. Now, every emotion that you have influences every decision you make. And every decision you make influences the actions that you take. And the actions you take, they influence the outcomes of your life. So if you're not producing, if you're not productive, if you're not profitable, if you're not performing, at the heart of your non-performance or your non-productivity is a lack of motivation. Emotions are key to our motivation. That is the third component of emotional intelligence, motivation. Are you motivated or are you demotivated? So awareness is a component, self-regulation is a component, motivation is a component. A fourth component of emotional intelligence is empathy, your ability to step into the moccasins or the shoes of someone else and feel what they feel, see what they see, and recognize what is going on within them is very, very key because it influences how you interact with them and it influences your ability to manage your relationships or develop social skills. So social skills and relationship management is a 5th dimension. So awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Those are 5 critical components of emotional intelligence. Now, when you now begin to break it down, you realize that it's about your relationship with yourself and your internal dynamics. It's about your relationship with your environment and things and circumstances and people within your environment. And it's about your relationship with other people. Now, where 2 or 3 come together, there will always be conflict. There will always be conflict of thoughts. There will always be conflicts of beliefs. There will always be conflict of ideas and ideologies. There will always be conflict of values. We're all different. We're all wired differently. We're all programmed differently. So conflict is a normal thing. Conflict is a normal thing. But if you lack the ability to manage conflicts, if you lack the ability to resolve conflict, the fact is that you will get hurt, you would get angry, you would begin to operate in fear, and you would be prideful. Your ego will get in the way. So emotional intelligence helps us become more aware of the triggers in our environment that trigger our thoughts, that trigger our beliefs, that trigger our emotions. And emotional intelligence helps us interpret the emotions that we have and how we also infect and affect other people. And it helps us make the right decisions and communicate effectively. Now, check this out. 90% of top performers have high emotional intelligence. That's right. 85% of all success in life is dependent on how emotionally and spiritually intelligent you are. A research from Harvard found out that 80% of the workplace conflicts, they stem from poor communication and lack of emotional management. So emotional intelligence is a critical software for successful living, for leadership, for wealth creation, for relationship management, and most importantly, for conflict resolution. So a combination of emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence, they are the mainframe combination softwares that guarantee 85 to 95% of success in every chosen field of endeavor. How can we use emotional intelligence to navigate generational differences and cultural differences? So you would find that, you're talking about conflict as well, because you find that there are major conflicts between Generation Alpha, Gen Z, Generation Y, and Generation X and the baby bloomers. The major conflicts because of the way that we see life, because of the era that we are born into, because of our behaviors, because of how we see and approach life and the things that we do. Also, when we begin to now talk about, within the workplace, right? Culture, what are we talking about? We're talking about behavior. So at the very heart of most conflicts are two major fundamental things: a belief system and a value system. Honestly, guys, if you think about it and you do a list of the three people that are closest to you, three people that you value, three people that you love, three people that you get along with. If we quickly do that audit now, just write the names of the three people that you've always gotten along with, three people that you really like, three people that like you, three people that you guys are close. Write the names of those three people. Then write the names of three other people that always get on your nerves, and you always get into conflict with, and you always get into disagreements. Write the names of those three critical people. Now look at the three people that you get along with very, very well. The very first thing that you would see is they may seem to be in the same generation with you, or in the generation just above you or just below you. The second thing that you will find is, if you ask yourself a very pertinent question: what are the 4 or 5 critical things that I like about each person? If you quickly ask that question now, you would find out that what you like about A, right, is similar to what you like about B, and is similar to what you like about person C. And what you like about them is in alignment with your values and your fundamental beliefs. So we like people like ourselves. But if you look at the 3 people that you always get into conflict with, right, you would find out that, if you ask yourself the 5 things that causes the conflict or the disagreements between you, you will find out that those 5 things, they conflict with your values and your belief system. They violate your values and your belief system. So, what are we always trying to protect when we get into conflicts? We're trying to always protect our values and our belief system. So, at the heart of most conflict are those 2 critical things. But guess what? Right? Each and every one of us was born into a family, and we didn't choose what family we were born into, which means that the system that nurtured us, we never chose it. We were born into it. So I was born into the atmosphere and the environment that nurtured me into who I've become today. You were born, and all 7.8 billion of us were born into those environments. Check this out. The person that you have become today is a function of the nurture that you got. So you were nurtured into your nature. And the programs that you are running are driven by your belief system and your value system. Where did you get the belief system and the value system from? Your nurture. So you have become who you have become by virtue of your nurture, by virtue of the belief system that you imbibe and the values that you imbibe. Likewise, everybody else. And I am different from you. Why? Because I was nurtured differently from you. I imbibed a different set of values from you. I developed a different set of belief systems from you. But that software, that program, that meta program that I'm running or is running me is what is at conflict with the meta program or the program that is running you. Unfortunately, I am not the one in conflict with you. So it's not even a function of our differences in generation or our differences in our core beliefs. We are at conflict simply because our parents or the environments that nurtured us are different. My God, my God. So the penny just dropped for someone. Whether you are in a marriage or in a partnership or you are in a team with other people, everybody was nurtured into their nature. And everybody deserves the right to be respected. You must respect other people's map of the world. Why? Because you want to be accepted and you want to be respected. Now, I may not agree with your values. I may not agree with your belief system, but it is yours. And if you're 50 years old, you've been running that program, or that program has been running you for 50 years. So the very first thing is to acknowledge that we will always be different. No two of us will ever be the same. We're all different. We're all unique. Everybody's map of the world is based on their nurture, their frame of reference from the past. That's right. And if you are able to accept that, if you are able to respect other people's map of the world, the first step to conflict resolution has been resolved. The second step to conflict resolution is empathy. Empathy. My ability to see how you see, to feel what you are feeling. Step out of my shoes, step out of my feelings and feel what you feel and see how you see and see from your perspectives, even though I may not agree with what you're saying, but I understand what you are saying. The third thing is to ask yourself, what is the win-win in this situation? You know, I find that many people want to create a win-lose or a lose-win situation. But guess what? We can all win. And so the question you want to ask yourself is, what is the win-win? And every time you think win-win, right, you would always come up with a solution to the conflict. Conflict is always festered when we are thinking win-lose, when we are selfish, when we are self-centered, when we're not considerate of the other party or what the other party wants to take away. So you have to lay the cards on the table and ask, this conversation that we are having, this issue that we're having, what do we really want? What is the desired outcome for both of us from this? So go into that conversation, go into that deliberation, go into that situation, asking each other, what is the win-win? What is the desired outcome? And what must I do to help achieve that desired outcome? What must you do to help achieve that desired outcome? Now, there's something in neuro-linguistic programming, an intervention that we call chunking or perceptual positioning. You would realize that at the end of the day, all of us are looking for the same thing. We're all looking for recognition. We're all looking for acceptance. We're all looking for success. We're all looking for happiness. We're all looking for fulfillment. We're all looking for satisfaction. We're all looking to discover and fulfill purpose. If we're all looking for the same thing, right? It doesn't matter how we are trying to approach it. We're all heading for the same destination, which means that if I go through route A and you go through route B, both of us are still trying to meet up at X point. Now, oftentimes the conflict is always about the route that I am taking and how I am taking that route. The route that you are taking and how you are taking that route. Many of us fail to look at the merging point, the X factor, the X point. If we keep our focus on the X point, right, and we ask ourselves, what can we learn from each other, or whose route will deliver us to X point easier and fastest, then you can yield your ego. At the heart of most conflicts is an ego, is someone that wants to hold on to their own value system, their own belief system, their own ideology, their own perception. And so it is therefore very, very key for us to understand that it is important for us to succeed. And for us to succeed, we need one another. So when you get into conflict, there are different techniques that you can use to navigate the conflict better. And I want to share with you 5 quick ones, 5 quick game changing coaching techniques. Number 1 is the TPT. So you want to just write that down, the TPT. That is the pause technique, the pause technique. Oftentimes, when we're triggered, we quickly react. So, what I want you to do, right, when anything happens around you, pause for 6 seconds. This, based on research, is the time that it takes for every emotional trigger to pass. TPT. Before you react, pause for 6 to 10 seconds. 6 to 10 seconds. That is how much time it takes for every emotional trigger to pass. The second step that you want to take, right? The second technique you want to deploy is the NITI, NITI, NITI. That is, name it and tame it. So ask yourself, what emotion is this? So label the emotion. I feel frustrated. I feel unheard. Now, when you are able to label it and you are able to say to yourself, this reduces the emotional intensity. It releases you from the amygdala hijack. The amygdala is behind you. So when you ask yourself, right, what exactly am I feeling right now? You switch from operating from the rear cortex to your frontal cortex, where your thinking and your cognition happens. When you switch to your frontal cortex, you have disengaged with your emotional hijack. The third step, the third technique is the EIT, the empathic inquiry technique. Now ask, how can I see this thing from a different perspective? What exactly is important to me right now? Is it about how the person made me feel, or is it about what I want to my desired outcome? So, empathic inquiry technique, EIT. Ask yourself, how can I understand the perspective that I'm in better? What is really important to me here? What is my desired outcome? What should I be focusing on? Make inquiries, but make very empathic inquiries. Ask a few questions about the important thing to you. What can I learn from this experience? What wisdom can I elicit from this experience? The fourth step is what I call the reframe technique. Instead of blaming other people and say, you did this to me, you made me angry, I want you to say to yourself, I noticed this pattern in myself. Anytime anybody raises their voice, I am triggered. What does that tell me? Perhaps when I was growing up, I used to detest my father shouting at me because my father always shouted at me. And you are a woman. And so your husband also raises his voice when his passion is elevated, and it triggers the sense of powerlessness with your father. So instead of reacting, instead of you pointing fingers and saying you are always doing this, you are always making me angry, ask yourself, what patterns am I noticing? And what does that tell me about me? What kind of help do I need? How can I free myself from this child trauma? And the fifth thing you want to do is to do the POB technique. That is the power of breath. The power of breath, which means that as you are doing all of the four, you are breathing in for a count of 8, holding for a count of 6, and exhaling for a count of 8. 8, breathe in, hold for 6, and exhale for 8. Now, with this breathing technique, your entire nervous system, your entire emotional system will start to calm down. Now, there is absolutely no way, right, that you can erupt when your heartbeat has been stepped down, when your pulse rate has been stepped down. Breathing helps regulate your heartbeat and your pulse rate. Now, these simple techniques, when you practice them, they will rewire your brain. They will reprogram your responses, and you will see the height of neuroplasticity in action. I yield the mic. Well, what are those most common emotional blind spots that escalate conflicts unnecessarily, and how do people now begin to address them? Emotional blind spots they are patterns of behavior. They are patterns of thinking that we're usually unaware of. So everybody that drives is unaware of some dark spots around the car. There's some areas around the car that you can't see. In life, you also have blind spots. When you're walking, you can't see behind you. That's a blind spot. There's certain corners of your house, your room that you can't see because furniture is blocking it, something is covering it. We live in a world where we see, and we live in a world where we don't see. So the things that we don't see, the people we don't see, the situations we don't see, the circumstances that we're unaware of are our blind spots. It can be your behavior. It can be your thinking. It can be your belief system. It can be your emotions. And these blind spots, they sabotage us. They sabotage our relationship. They sabotage our career. They sabotage, our success. They sabotage our interactions with many people. The number one thing that is so key for you to know is, how do you infect people? Note, I didn't say how do you affect people. How do you infect people? We call it in neuroscience and psychodynamics, we call it projection. You project missiles. You project your fear. You project your anxiety. You project your insecurities. So I want you to quickly ask yourself, what do I unconsciously project every day? What negative emotions? What negative beliefs? What negative thoughts? What do I negatively, unconsciously project on a daily basis that infects other people, that create adverse effect on them? Projection. It's a major blind spot. Many of us are unaware of the many things that we are projecting. Oh, yeah, many of us are projecting our financial insecurities. Many of us are projecting our anxieties on our children. Many of us are projecting our fears on our children. Many of us are projecting our failed lives on our children. When you want your child and you force your child to do a course simply because you couldn't do it, yeah, that's a projection. You want to project the life that you couldn't live on your children. Oh, yes, your fears and your insecurities, you project it on your husband, many on their wives. Oh, yes, many on their friends because they lack a sense of self worth. They lack self esteem. They lack self belief and self confidence. So, what are those things that you project? Projection is one major blind spot. A second blind spot is a lot of us have many assumptions, opinions. We have different opinions about other people, who they are, and why they do what they do. Or you believe you know other people. You believe you know other people's motives. You judge people. It's a major blind spot. You don't know what they've been through in their life. You don't know what they are currently going through. You don't know what is causing, their reaction. If you had empathy, an element of emotional intelligence, you would not be judging. You would not be assuming. The third blind spot is unregulated ego, pride, the need to always be right, the need to always be dominant, the need for your voice to be the one that is heard, the need to be the one that is seen at all times. Yeah, if you are the only one that is seen at all times, then this will be a very boring world. If you are the only one that is heard at all times, this will be a very boring world. God created each and every one of us differently. How do you balance empathy with accountability? Pretty much. So you're in a team or you're a leader and you expect people to deliver, right? And they are not delivering. I think the very first thing, is to empathize with them, and what is empathy, is to put yourself in the shoes of that person. Ask yourself the fundamental question: this task that I gave them, this objective that I gave them, this goal that I gave them, was it unreasonable? Was it harsh? Did I set them up to fail? Did I test them? Did I push them beyond their capacity, their competency, and their ability? First question. Because as a leader, as a team member, you need to be aware. Remember that emotional intelligence is about awareness of self and awareness of others and awareness of your environment. Now, when you are aware and you are able to identify, right, people's capacity, people's skills, people's competencies, oh yes, and people's strengths and weaknesses, you can tell whether that task that was given them was beyond their capacity, their competency, and their potential. And if they fall short and you are a leader, the failure is not on them. The failure is on you because you gave a task that they were not equipped to deliver. It shows you that you were not very emotionally intelligent. And if the feedback that you get from them haven't given them that task is that they cannot deliver it, right? Then the onus lies on you to use it as an opportunity to learn and to grow. And so you call them into the room and you have that conversation. We agreed that you should go and do this. You agreed to do it within a time frame. What happened? And listen to them attentively. What happened? How could you have done this differently? What did you learn from this experience? Use it as a learning experience because, don't let it waste. That is such a powerful moment, such a powerful growth and learning moment. Don't let it go to waste. It is very, very important that you do not allow it to go to waste. So ask yourself, what can we learn from this experience? And that person is really going to appreciate it. Even though you call them out, even though you speak candidly to them, you give them an opportunity to learn from that experience. And those are the people that you realize that they don't have the capacity, they don't have the ability, they don't have the resources. Now, the second category of people are the people that have the capacity, the competencies, they've had the training, they've done it before, but on this time, they drop the ball. It is to acknowledge what they've done well before. You know, Tunde, the last time or the last three times that I gave you this task, you actually delivered on it on time and excellently. What exactly is going on with you at this time? What's going on? Is there anything that is bothering you? Is there any problem that you're going through? Any issues that you have at home or wherever it is? Because this person has demonstrated capacity. This person has demonstrated the ability to deliver. But on this occasion, they dropped the ball, which means that it is not their norm. This is an exception. So when you ask that person that question, that this is not like you, it restores confidence in that person. And then you say to the person, you know what? Because this is not like you, go and sort it out. I know that you can do it. Go think through it and resolve this issue and come back to me. By when would you be able to come back to me with a solution? Remember that we've lost 5 days. And so you can't have 5 days to deliver this, right? So you must have learned something along the way. So how can you do it differently such that you compress the time, but make sure you deliver excellent results to me? Now, the third party is someone that has done it several times and done it well, but in the last 2 or 3 times, they've been dropping the ball. Then you must have a difficult conversation with them, especially if you have had the second conversation with them. You now say to them, at this point, Yetunde, I'm really, 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 I'm struggling. I'm really, really struggling. Help me here. I don't know why I should not really, really, really put my foot down and address this issue with. I'm going to have to get HR to send you a query. And you know that this is your second query, and you know what it means after this. So you've had a query before. This is going to be your second query. You know what it means by the time you get a third query. If there's anything that you are struggling with, if there's anything that is causing you to lose concentration, perhaps you want to take some time off work. Should I put you on a PIP, a performance improvement program? Actually, that is probably what I should do. So you call in HR and then you put the person on a PIP program. Because, man, in the last 4 months, consistently, they've been dropping the ball. And you've given them the first warning, the second warning, the first query. And this is yet another second. Before they exit, put them on a performance improvement program. So get in HR and, get HR to issue a query and put them on a performance improvement program. This is how you deal with it. Imagine that you are a counselor, a coach, or a therapist, and you work with children. And the school has, and you work within the school, and the school has flagged off this child, that this child's behavior has changed, this child's academics is dropping, and this child used to be very well behaved, and this child used to ace, every subject. And you've noticed that, in the last 1 year, it's just been a complete deep and dive. Normally, right, when you see a drastic change like that in behavior and in academics, there's a problem somewhere. It's either peer pressure or there's a problem at home. So you've got to first of all sit that child down and have a conversation with that child Historically, your results have been incredible. Your behavior has been phenomenal. But we've noticed that in the last 6 months and in the last 8 months, things are not the same as they used to be. Is there anything that we need to know that is going on with you? Are you being bullied? Did you suddenly, get into a group of friends? Are you suddenly just rolling with a new crew? Or are there challenges at home with your dad or your mom? Are there conflicts at home that are causing you, trauma, pain, emotional instability? Is there anything we need to know? Because, I'm here to help and support you. Are you happy? What is going on with you? And so, as a counselor, as a therapist, as a coach, you first of all do your first line of investigation with the child, because the child is your real client. And based on the intel that you gather from that child, then first of all, you have to notify the school authorities that now this is the intel that I've gathered from this child. And because we're custodians of this child, we will reserve the right to contact the child's parents. So please help write a letter to the child's parents to please come to school. Let's even assume that the child is in boarding school. And then you'd invite the parents to school and you'd have the same conversation with the parents. We've noticed that your daughter, was of best behavior, acing her subjects. Certainly something is going wrong. Something that I missed out whilst you're having a conversation with the child is to ask that child what information that they've given you are able to share with their parents. Okay? It's because, you want to hold that confidentiality with the child. And so then you now have a conversation with the parents that this is what you've observed. And from all indications, it seems like all is not well at home, and it's beginning to affect your child's behavior, your child's emotional stability, and your child's academics. And we would recommend that you please also, see a therapist or a coach, because if it is affecting this child and they have 3 children, it may also be affecting the other children. So have you noticed any behavioral change with your other 2 younger children, academics as well? And if they say yes, then it's pointing to one place, the home front. And then the best you can do is to recommend therapy. And if you have a good therapist or a good, psychologist or coach that can help them, then you recommend. And then you continue to work with the child as a counselor. You continue to work with the child as you hope that the parents would have gotten counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in the conversation tonight. We hope that you've taken away 1 or 2 things. On that note, we will call it a wrap for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I am successful. I look for and find opportunities where others see nothing. I am a lifetime learner. I am solution focused. I see only solutions. I am a solution.